Welcome back to another dreadful side quest where we dive into some of the world's strangest and darkest topics and or stories. My name is Vlad, and today we're going to be talking about the Myrtles Plantation. Now, starting off, there's two things I want to say really quick before we start this haunting. One, I'm clearly in a very new location. I'm actually pet sitting for somebody right now, so that's why my environment around me looks a little bit different. And two, I'm sick as a dog. Like, I feel like shit right now, so if my mood is a little bit down here, I'm so sorry. Bear with me, the story that we're gonna talk about today is still very interesting. I have always wanted to visit the Myrtles Plantation. I actually had a friend who had a wedding at the Myrtles Plantation, and it looked very pretty. She sent me pictures of it and everything. But anyway, let's begin this haunting. Now first, I just kind of want to explain what the Myrtles Plantation is. So the Myrtles Plantation is obviously a plantation that back in the day they used to have slave owners living on the property with their slaves. It's a very terrible place to be, but now it has been restored and refurbished to be kind of a hotel, Airbnb, whatever you want to call it, a place where you can stay and chill with your family overnight, or for a few nights if you choose to. They also have weddings, you can host parties, events, and stuff like that over there. It's a very pretty place. Despite all of its really dark history, I would willingly go there and just chill out for a little bit. They've restored it and it looks very nice. But that's enough about me talking about random shit having to do with a house, hotels, and all that crap. Shit that doesn't have to do anything with ghosts. So let's start talking about some history here. Myrtles Plantation, located in St. Francisville, Louisiana, is one of the most historically significant and storied plantation homes in the southern United States. Often referred to as one of the most haunted places in America, its history stretches back over 2 centuries and intertwines with the complex legacy of slavery, wealth, tragedy, and the supernatural. Now next I'm going to talk about a little bit of extensive history from this plantation so you get the idea of what we're kind of working with here. The land on which Myrtles Plantation sits was originally part of a large tract granted by the Spanish crown in the 18th century. In 1796, a Frenchman named Guillaume de la Ronde, a wealthy landowner, constructed the plantation house. I feel like I just pronounced some sort of character's name from an anime. I 100% butchered that name. I'm so sorry if I offended anybody. I'm just gonna call him Ronde from now on. But God, there's so many French names in this that I don't know how to pronounce. I'm gonna try my best, and if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Ronde, who had extensive connections with the local French-speaking Sorole aristocracy, named the estate Laurel Hill and created a thriving plantation that produced indigo, cotton, and tobacco. However, in the early years of the plantation, the estate had a series of owners, and the name Laurel Hill would eventually be replaced by Myrtles Plantation. In 1823, the property was sold to a man named General David Bradford, a former Revolutionary War figure who had fled to Louisiana due to political controversies. Fuck, I can never pronounce that word. Controversies. Okay, I think I did it that time. Let's redo that real quick. In 1823, the property was sold to a man named General David Bradford, a former Revolutionary War figure who had fled to Louisiana due to political controversies surrounding his involvement in the Whiskey Rebellion. So if you don't know what the Whiskey Rebellion is, basically it was just a very violent tax protest, kind of like a mini war that broke out, a bunch of people died, so yeah, that's what that is if you don't know. It was under Bradford's ownership that the estate truly flourished. Bradford added more land to the property and built a larger, more imposing house in the traditional Southern antebellum style, including a spacious interior, columns, and expansive verandas. He also established the plantation's economy by increasing its reliance on enslaved labor, which would later become a central part of the plantation's identity for decades. That's a big no-no. Slavery is a big no-no. Can't be doing that shit. So yeah, this guy, what's his name again? General Bradford. He sounds like a dick. He's the reason all the slavery started, is what I'm hearing, basically. So I'm gonna put him on my bad side here real quick because, yeah, Don't want any of that negative shit happening. Now, after this general owned the plantation, he passed it on to the Woodruffs. Clark Woodruffs was the husband, he was also a slave owner, he was also a judge, and he had a wife that lived with him on the plantation, followed by several kids. And these were not very good people. They did a lot of very questionable things that would be very frowned upon these days, things that actually should always be frowned upon. And this is kind of when the actual dark history starts, like with the paranormal. We're gonna find out what happened to the Woodruffs, why their ghosts might still be lingering, so stick around, it's gonna be fun. The Woodruffs' family life at the Myrtles Plantation took a dark turn. Clark Woodruff and his wife Mary had several children, but in 1827, tragedy struck when Mary Woodruff died suddenly, possibly due to miscarriage, an illness, or even poisoning. Now, it's said that Mary and Clark were very harsh with the slaves on the plantation. They would beat them. There's rumors that they would even cut off their ears, or one of their ears, if the slaves did something bad. Really brutal stuff like that was going on. So the poisoning would make sense because a lot of people, and I'm talking a lot of people, think that one of the slaves that the Woodruffs owned said that she was gonna make them a cake one day. So she went to go make the cake, and allegedly she put poison in the cake, killing off the Woodruff wife. So that's a rumor that's been going around. I think it's very convincing. I think that's very possible as to what could have happened. After her death, Clark Woodruff married again, this time to a much younger woman, a woman named Sarah, who was reportedly a beautiful and wealthy woman from the local area. Newsflash, Sarah was also a bitch, so don't get your hopes up here. It was during this period that the plantation began to acquire its reputation for being haunted, with a series of inexplicable events that would eventually give rise to the ghost stories and local folklore. One of the most famous stories is that of a young enslaved woman named Chloe, who is said to have been a servant in the Woodruff household. The legend of Chloe involves her being in love with Clark Woodruff and seeking revenge on him and his family after he rejected her advances. Chloe allegedly poisoned a cake or dessert that she made for the family, intending to kill Woodruff, but instead causing the death of his wife, Mary, and their 2 daughters. Shit, I didn't know that she took out the 2 daughters as well, damn. Actually, what am I saying? These were really shitty people. Good for her. Good for Chloe beating some ass. Some versions of the story suggest that after the poisoning, Chloe was caught and executed, while others claim that she was simply dismissed and left to live out the rest of her days in isolation. Regardless of the specifics, the tragedy surrounding Chloe's actions became the enduring part of the plantation's lore, and she has often been depicted as one of the plantation's most prominent ghosts. Today, visitors report sightings of a female apparition wearing a green turban, which is said to be the ghost of Chloe. Now, there's a really good paranormal image on the internet of supposedly Chloe. There was this lady who was taking pictures around the plantation on her wedding day one day, and in the corner of the house, kind of wedged between 2 walls, you can see the apparition of Chloe, or supposedly Chloe. It's a very good picture. It does look like there's a person standing there, but the question is if it's a fucking ghost. I have no idea. Additionally, other spirits have been linked to the plantation, including the ghost of Sarah Woodruff, the second wife of Clark, who allegedly still haunts the property today. Many paranormal investigators and visitors claim to have experienced strange occurrences at the Myrtles Plantation, including hearing disembodied voices, seeing apparitions, or feeling cold spots in certain rooms. So the same thing every single ghost in the entire world does. Now, the next ghost we're going to talk about is the ghost of Sarah and her children. And if you don't remember from 1 minute ago for some reason, Sarah was the second wife of the Woodruff husband. After Sarah and her 2 children died from the alleged poisoning, their spirits are believed to have remained at the plantation. Many reports describe sightings of a woman and 2 children, often seen wandering the grounds or near the large oak tree where they were supposedly buried. Now, people have claimed to see Sarah and both her children dressed in old-fashioned clothing, moving in and out of rooms or gazing out of windows. The children are often said to be heard laughing or playing in the hallways late at night. The mother, Sarah, is sometimes seen in her old bedroom staring out the window. Okay, if you think about it, being a ghost might suck. Like, really bad. I don't know if you're confined to an area that you just can't leave for the rest of your afterlife, because that alone sounds really bad. Like, I'll be home alone for a few days while my family's out or something like that, and I'll get bored as hell. I'll feel like I'm about to go out and rip somebody's eyes out. I'm so bored. So I cannot imagine that. If you ever wanted to be a ghost, let's try to work around it. That might be a better option for you. The next ghost we're gonna talk about is called the Pink Lady. Who that is, I have not a damn clue, but let's find out. The Pink Lady is a friendly, benevolent ghost, often described as a woman in a pink or light colored gown. Some stories suggest she may have been a former resident or visitor to the plantation, while others link her to the death of a child or servant. The Pink Lady's ghost is known to be more playful than malevolent. She's been spotted in various locations on the plantation, particularly in the upstairs rooms near the staircase. Visitors have reported a warm, comforting presence when encountering her ghosts. Some claim to have seen her gently moving through the house, her form glowing softly in the dim light. You know what I never understood? Why the hell do ghosts change colors? Because last I checked, a ghost is just supposed to be a silhouette of a person that you can see through. But there's all these ghost hunters out here saying, oh, I saw a blue figure at the end of the hall, or a red one. Or in Sarah's case, pink for some reason. Maybe it just has to do with what you were wearing before you die. I'm not sure if that's the case. I better get my fucking outfit ready because I could be going out at any minute. Y'all out there worrying about what you're gonna wear every single day to look fashionable? I'm over here worrying about what I'm gonna wear every single day because I want to look good as hell when I'm dead. So yeah. I'm sorry, the dog I'm watching's drinking water. I don't know if it's loud or not. We're gonna give her a second. Now, following up to the Pink Lady comes the disembodied voices. I hate disembodied voices. I have heard disembodied voices while I've been ghost hunting before. It's not something that you want to experience, especially if you hear the voice, you go to check it out, and there ain't nothing there. I was like, hell no. I shit myself and I was out of there in like 2 seconds. And by there I mean an asylum because I'm crazy and I go stay at asylums just for fun, so... Oh, that's what ghost hunters do. Many visitors to the plantation report hearing disembodied voices throughout the house. These include faint whispers, children laughing, and even conversations that appear to be coming out from the walls. Some say that they hear the voices of former slaves, while others speculate that it's the spirits of the plantation's former inhabitants. Oh, okay, yeah, these definitely get a bit worse as they go on, because the next one is about the haunted oak tree where slaves used to be hung. I'm tired. I'm sick and I'm tired. I don't know what to say to this. A large oak tree on the grounds of the plantation is another focal point for paranormal activity. This tree is associated with both of the deaths of Sarah and her children and the rumored hanging of slaves. People have claimed to see shadowy figures hanging from the branches or floating near the tree at night. That's terrifying. That's some classic Scooby-Doo shit right there. I don't know why, but every time there's like a tree involved with some sort of haunting, it makes it extra freaky. I don't know why. So next to this big tree is the slave quarters. That's where the slaves would go to sleep at night, eat their meals, engage with their families and stuff like that. And unfortunately, when they were inside of their quarters over there, they were chained to the sides of the wall so they couldn't leave their shacks at night and they couldn't go out and run away and stuff like that. Really gruesome, sad stuff like that. That's really dark. Hate that a lot. But that's kind of where this next ghost story is going. The former slave quarters on the property are said to be haunted by the spirits of enslaved people who live there. People have reported hearing chains rattling, footsteps in the dirt, and even ghostly figures or former slaves standing near the old buildings or walking along the property at night. And of course, there's another ghost story following up to that one. A mirror was taken from inside of one of the slave quarters and brought inside the house where it sits today, and that's kind of what I'm going to go over next. Another ghostly occurrence is the apparition of a woman seen in mirrors inside the plantation house. Guests have reported seeing a face suddenly appear in the reflection or the mirror itself fogging up with no apparent cause. Some say it's the face of Sarah Woodruff, while others believe it is the spirit of one of the former slaves. Now, tracking back to what I said at the beginning of the video, how my friend had a wedding at this place, she did tell me a weird story about this mirror. I don't know if I believe it or not, but here we go. So she was going up the stairs, she was going to get dressed, she passed by the mirror, but as she passed by the mirror, in her peripheral vision, she saw a lady dressed in like a gown walking directly behind her, and she was shocked because she didn't hear anybody coming up the stairs behind her. She heard nobody whatsoever, and when she turned around, there was nobody there. So that might have been a ghost. That is a weird story with the mirror. That is something straight out of a horror movie. I would have explosive diarrhea if that ever happened to me. Like, my organs would just shut down. I'd be so scared. But yeah, that's kind of what she experienced. Next ghost story. Some visitors claim to hear the sounds of a baby crying in the house, particularly near the children's rooms or the nursery. The cries are often described as faint and distant, but they've also been described as incredibly realistic. It is unclear whether this is the ghost of one of Sarah's children or perhaps another tragic death tied to the plantation. And with that being said, it brings us to our very last ghost story. And this one's about the light in the attic. A light is sometimes seen flickering in the attic windows late at night. This is often attributed to the ghost of the former owners of their children who are believed to still linger in the house. Some believe that the light is a signal that the spirits are trying to communicate with the living. Now, we just went through, what, 5, 6 different ghost stories, and that doesn't even scrape the tip of the iceberg with how many paranormal encounters people have had at this place, including the ghosts. There's a lot more ghost stories out there that I wasn't able to cover. But altogether, this place is very creepy. Despite its beauty, its history is much darker than what we see today. We don't see what's behind closed doors, and I hope we never have to again, because what happened at this plantation was absolutely awful. Can't imagine what these people went through. I'm so sorry to all of the families out there from these residents of the Myrtles Plantation that are currently alive. I'm sorry about what your family members had to go through. It's horrible, terrible stuff. But with that being said, I'm gonna wrap up the video for today. I'm sorry if this was a shorter video. I don't know if it's short. I'll find out when I edit, but I hope you enjoyed. I'm sorry again, I wasn't feeling good. I need to rest my ass. I don't even know what half the shit coming out of my mouth is. I'm all sorts of loopy right now, so I'm gonna go lay down before I pass out. But I love you guys, and I will see you all in the next video.